Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order for the Planning Board of the Town of Brunswick for September 4, 2025. If everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, our agenda this evening is as follows. This is posted on the town website and the town board. Number one, CD North America, waiver of subdivision site plan and special use permit. Applicant seeks to subdivide a 99.51 acre parcel to create two new lots of 24.96 acres and 74.55 acres and construct two community solar facilities on property located at 511 New Chesney Avenue Extension. CV North America Incorporated is the applicant. Number two, Beverly Special Use Permit. Applicant seeks a special use permit for the installation of a ground-mounted small-scale solar collector system on property located at 34 Cranston Road. John Beverly is the applicant. Number three, Harrington, waiver of subdivision. The applicant seeks to amend a lot line of an existing lot and create a new one, one new residential lot on property located off Harrington Lane. Ken Harrington is the applicant. There's also new business, and I will mention that new business is at the National Grid. I think there were some people that were asking about that earlier. So, that being said, our first item of business is to review the minutes of our final meeting on August 21st, 2025. Has everybody had an opportunity to take a look at those minutes? And are there any changes, amendments, additions? Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as they've been submitted. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, first on our agenda is CVE North America waiver of subdivision site plan and special use permit. Since our last meeting, we did receive a packet of information which I believe was just a duplication of the presentation that you gave at the last. And we are here to basically do a secret determination. Do you have any comments or anything you'd like to say before we get into that process?
No, I think we had a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that being said, I am going to ask Wayne to review the part two. We did make a couple changes to that. We just highlight those changes and then we'll go to part three. And we'll go to a annex document, exhibit A, for the declaration.
Yeah, the changes made to the part two, done to, let's see. Page 6 of 10, item number 9. That was the impact on aesthetic resources. The discussion with the board. Item C, proposed action may be visible from publicly accessible vantage points. Item I, seasonally, screened by summer foliage and visible during other seasons. The board identified that as a moderate to large impact may occur. And also 9C2, year-round, C2, year-round, the board had indicated that that should be considered a moderate to large impact. So we changed the part 2 to identify those two as such. I believe that was the only change to the part 2 since the last time we reviewed it.
Okay.
I did not make any other changes in part 2 other
I just want to draw everybody's attention to part 18
yes.
on the last page, on page 10. And that was indicated.
Part 18, subpart F, proposed action is inconsistent with character of existing natural landscape. We identified that as the moderate to large impact.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the board for that? The part 2 of the EAF? Okay. Let's move on to part 3. And this is the evaluation of the magnitude and importance of the project impact and determination of significance.
Based on what was identified in part 2, let me just read through what's included in the language of part 3. Reasons supporting this determination: to complete this section, identify the impact based on the part 2 responses and describe its magnitude. Magnitude considers factors such as severity, size, or extent of impact. Assess the importance of the impact. Importance relates to the geographic scope, duration, probability of the impact occurring, number of people affected by the impact, and any additional environmental consequences of the impact were to occur. The assessment should take into consideration any design element or project changes. Repeat this process for each part 2 question where the impact has been identified as potentially moderate to large, or whether there is a need to explain why a particular element of the proposed action will not or may result in significant adverse environmental impact. Provide the reasons why the impact may or will not result in significant adverse environmental impact. So I put together the Exhibit A, which describes each item and the severity of the impact. So before you have an Exhibit A. Everybody got that?
Yes.
First part of that just describes the secret process a little bit, and then describes the action before the board and the location of the action. A little bit about the speaker's procedural background. Town of Brunswick Planning Board designated lead agency as a result of coordinated review with other involved agencies for this project, to which notice of consent include Town of Brunswick Zoning Board of Appeals, Rensselaer County Highway Department, New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Courtesy copies of the notice of intent to establish lead agency were sent to the Town of Brunswick Town Board, the Rensselaer County Department of Economic Development and Planning. I listed all the documents that were submitted as part of the action and our review. Includes, I'll just briefly go through this, the site plan application, the special use permit application, full environmental assessment form, part 1, plans, landscape mitigation plan, stormwater pollution prevention plan, visual impact assessment report, and wetland and watercourse delineation report. Agency comments included State Historic Preservation Office, dated December 13, 2024, stating that it's the opinion of OPRHP that no properties, including archaeological and or historic resources listed in are eligible for New York State National Register of Historic Places, will be impacted. I should say that no properties will be impacted by this project. Page 3, should be on page 3. Reasons supporting this determination. Secret regulations provide that for all type 1 and unlisted actions, the lead agency making a determination of significance must consider the action as defined under secret, review the EAF criteria contained in subdivision C of the section and any other supporting information will identify the relevant areas of environmental concern, thoroughly analyze the identified relevant areas of environmental concern to determine if the action may have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and set forth its determination of significance in a written form containing a reasonable elaboration and providing reference to any supporting documentation. The secret regulations further provide that to determine whether a proposed type 1 or unlisted action may have a significant adverse impact on the environment, impacts that may be reasonably expected to result from the proposed action must be compared against the criteria in this subdivision and this the sections of the code. These criteria is discussed in more detail below. For the reasons discussed below, following the order of the primary questions in the FEAF, the planning board concludes that the project may result in significant adverse environmental impacts. Item number 1, impact on land. The proposed solar panel array involves the installation of solar panels that will cover a large area of ground within the subject parcels. The panels are supported by posts driven into the ground, resulting in preservation of the vast majority of the ground cover and minimal disturbance of the soil. The only real impact to the ground will come from the installation of the access drive and electrical equipment pads. Therefore, the overall environmental impact on land caused by this project will not be significant. Item 2, impact on geologic features. There are no unique landforms or other geologic features on the subject parcels that will be impacted by this project. Number 3, impact on surface water. According to the New York State DEC Wetlands and Watercourses map, there is a map. New York State DEC designated Class C stream located in the northern portion of the subject parcel. New York State DEC freshwater wetland check zone extends into the property at this northern location. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service NWI map, there are mapped riverine wetlands located in the northern portion of the subject parcel. There are 5 federal jurisdictional wetlands on the subject parcels as identified in the wetland delineation map and report. The federal jurisdictional wetland that runs north-south through the center of the parcel will be impacted by the crossing of an access road. No solar panels are proposed to be installed in any of the identified wetland areas. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permit will be necessary for the road crossing. The project will result in a minimal impact on surface water. Number 4, impact on groundwater. There will be no activity on the site that will impact groundwater use. 5, impact on flooding. According to FEMA National Flood Hazard Layer Map data, the subject parcel is not located within the boundaries of the map 100-year floodplain. However, the northwestern portion of the property is located directly adjacent to the 100-year floodplain zone A. This portion of the property is not being developed as part of the solar installation. There will be no impact on flood. Number 6, impact on air. As the project is intended to operate as a passive solar array, the project will have no impact on air quality. Number 7, impact on plants and animals. The proposed project proposes the installation of a solar array over a large area, which result in some impacts to plants and vegetation. However, as the panels will be supported by post-driven ground, plants will continue to grow over the majority of the ground surface. Any animals that traverse or live in the area will continue their use. Based on the reporting provided by the design engineer, there are no documented occurrences of federal or state regulated rare, threatened, or endangered species nor their habitat within the subject parcels. The number of trees are expected to be removed for installation of panels and access drives. Plantings are proposed around the east and south property boundaries to act as vegetative screening. As such, the impact caused by this project on plants and animals is expected to be minimal. Number 8, impact on agricultural resources. The project is located in an ag district, RENS 002. Project will result in physical operation of more than 2.5 acres in an agricultural district. No irreversible conversion of agricultural land to non-agricultural use is proposed by the installation of solar panels. Upon decommissioning and removal of the solar panels, the property can revert back to its original agricultural use. There is a small impact on ag resources. Number 5. Item number 9, impact on aesthetic resources. According to the visual impact assessment report prepared by Rue Environmental Engineering Geology for CBE North America, the applicant, the facility is visible from Garfield School, located near the intersection near to Moon Road. Portions of residential zones in the viewshed study area have visibility of the site. Views of the project from segments of McChesney Avenue Extension and Moon Road produce the greatest visual impact and clear views of the site. The project will be more visible during the winter when leaves are off the trees, especially for residences situated along these road segments. The scale, color, dimension, type of land use is not consistent with and in sharp contrast to utilize scenic resources and surrounding land uses. Vegetative screening proposed for the project only partially screens views of the facility. The portion of the facility at higher elevations on the site is largely visible to those traveling along McChesney Avenue, as well as other state, county, and local roadways and adjacent residences. Based upon the above, the project may have significant adverse impact on area aesthetics and needs further analysis. Item 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources. The State Historic Preservation Office letter dated December 13, 2024 states that it is the opinion of OPRHB that no properties will be impacted by this project. Number 11, impact on open space and recreation. The subject parcel has not been used for any significant recreation purpose, and therefore the project will not have an associated impact. Number 12, impact on critical environmental areas. There are no known critical environmental areas within the subject parcels, and as such, the project will not result in an associated impact. Number 13, impact on transportation. As the project is intended to operate as a non-occupied passive solar array, the project will result in an insignificant traffic impact. Number 14, impact on energy. By its nature, the project will generate energy rather than consume it. Therefore, there will be no significant impact on energy. Number 15, impact on noise, odor, and light. As the project is intended to operate as a passive solar array, generation of noise, odor, and light will be minimal or non-existent, and therefore will not represent a significant environmental impact. Number 16, impact on human health. If the project is intended to operate as a passive solar array, generation of airborne contaminants is not expected to occur, nor are there any records of potential contaminants in the ground that might be disturbed. Therefore, there will not be a significant impact on human health. Item 17, consistency with community plans. The project is located in an A40 zone and is an allowable use with a special use permit. The project is consistent with community plans. 18, consistency with community character. The proposed action is inconsistent with the character of the existing natural landscape. Significant portions of the natural landscape are changed by the installation of several thousand solar panels that are visible from nearby rural residential properties and other public viewpoints. The change to the natural landscape is of significant size and in sharp contrast to the surrounding area. In conclusion, as a result of the review of the environmental records for the project and completion of Part 2 of the full environmental assessment form, the Brunswick Planning Board as lead agency has determined that there are impacts that have not been adequately mitigated and require further analysis. The lead agency concludes that there is likely to be adverse environmental impacts involved in the project in regard to aesthetic resources, the project's inconsistency with community character. Therefore, the issuance of this positive declaration is warranted, and an environmental impact statement must be prepared to further assess the impacts. That is all part of Part 3. I'll finish that up here. Determination of significance, type 1, known as an action. The seeker status is type 1. All 3 portions of the EAF have been completed for this project. On review of the information recorded on the EAF as noted, plus any additional support information, which is all in Exhibit A. In considering both the magnitude and importance of each identified potential impact of the conclusion of the Brunswick Planning Board as lead agency, that this project will result in one or more significant adverse impacts on the environment. An environmental impact statement must be prepared to further assess the impacts and possible mitigation, and to explore alternatives to avoid or reduce those impacts. Accordingly, this positive declaration is issued.
Okay, there's been, we've completed, Wayne has completed Part 3. Recommendation is to pause deck under secret. At this time, I'm going to ask the board to make their comments individually. Whether we should proceed with a positive declaration or consider a negative declaration. Turn the floor over to Andy. You make any comments?
I'm going to move forward with positive declaration. Based on the
All right.
I feel we will positive declaration.
I concur with the information provided by the consulting engineer.
Dave?
I would go along with the positive declaration.
Okay. With that being said, I will turn the floor over to Andy. He has a resolution of contamination. Possibly.
Sure, so I have a very brief one. You did mention this has been proposed Part 3, Part 2 and Part 3 prepared by your review engineer. You've had the opportunity to review that. It is the planning board that is the lead agency that will independently undertake to review the information, the recommendation of your review engineer, and make the determination of environmental significance. So in the event you do choose to move forward and adopt a positive declaration, it will be the planning board's determination. Review engineer has made recommendations, but this will be the planning board's determination of the seeker lead agency. I just wanted to repeat that for the record. That'll be your legal responsibility under seeker. As has been the board's past practice, now that the documents have been discussed at the public meeting, and I'm about to review a very brief resolution, the applicant should be provided that. So we're going to provide the applicant with a copy of a proposed resolution, which I will go over with you shortly, as well as a copy of the Part 2. What's been handed to the applicant is in fact a copy of the Part 1 submitted. It includes the Part 2 as completed by your review engineer and reviewed with the board. The proposed Part 3, as well as the Exhibit A, which Wayne reviewed. So that's been provided to the applicant. The proposed resolution in front of you is simply to formally adopt a positive declaration under seeker, and the planning board as lead agency would make its determination of environmental significance under seeker. As is your standard format, many of these recital clauses are simply procedural in nature, going through the application process, documents submitted, applications submitted. It does confirm that the planning board has reviewed and deliberated concerning the proposed Part 2, as well as meetings in June, July, and August. You had a chance to consider the further submission made by the applicant under cover of August 5, which was reviewed at your meeting on August 7th. You've had time to review that and give it due consideration. You've gone through and identified potential moderate to large adverse environmental impacts which may result from the action. That's set forth in Part 2 that you've reviewed with your review engineer. And based upon the deliberation, you've had a chance to make the formal determination under Part 3, and that would include the reasons supporting that determination set forth in Exhibit A. The resolution then would formally adopt a positive declaration under seeker for this action as set forth in Parts 1, 2, and 3 of the full EAF, which is attached, it will be attached to this resolution. And the resolution that goes on, and seeker does require this, that once that determination of significance is made, that certain filing and publication requirements be met pursuant to the seeker regs. So that's the resolution in front of you. It formally adopts a positive declaration and also directs that the filing and publication. We'll note for the record that this is simply a procedural step under seeker. It is not a determination on the underlying application. This is a determination under seeker that there is the potential for at least one significant adverse environmental impact, which simply requires further analysis and environmental impact statements. That seeker process will continue, and once the environmental impact statement, the draft, is accepted as complete, the board will then continue with both the seeker process as well as the underlying applications that are in front of the board for site plan, special use permit, and subdivision. So that's in front of you for consideration.
Does anybody have any questions on the draft of the resolution at this point? Do you wish to include anything or amend anything on that resolution? And I will accept a
Right, procedurally, what is in front of the board is a resolution, so if inclined to move forward, a member would offer the resolution, and then another member would second that. If there's any discussion, we'll hold that, and then we'll do a roll call.
Does anyone on the board like to make this motion? And Henderson will make the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Okay, any further discussion on the motion?
Okay, in light of that, the foregoing resolution offered by member Henderson and seconded by member Peterson was duly put to a roll call vote as follows. Chairman Oster,
Yay.
member Chorney is absent, member Krieger is absent, member Peterson,
Yay.
member Henderson,
Yay.
member Tarbox,
Okay,
and member Stanquist.
Yay.
So the foregoing resolution was thereupon declared to be adopted. We will finalize the resolution with the votes, include as Exhibit A, the parts 1, 2, and 3, as well as Exhibit A. That will get filed and published accordingly.
Mr. Chairman, we would just ask for the board to schedule scoping at the next meeting.
Right, so on that score, the secret regulations currently say, and I presume the applicant is going to do this, that the applicant will submit a draft scope. So as soon as the draft scope can be submitted, that it get reviewed by one of the board. If that's prior to the next meeting, that'll be up to the board to schedule that. But the secret regulations, so we're now into the scoping process. Once a positive declaration's been adopted, the secret regulations envision the next step to be scoping. Many, many years ago, scoping was optional. Currently, scoping is mandatory. What this is designed to do is to identify those issues which do need to be analyzed in the environmental impact statement. Regulations say when there is an applicant, as there is here, the applicant shall provide a draft scope. This will be a document that's prepared by the applicant identifying the issues that it feels should be analyzed in the EIS based upon the positive declaration. That'll get submitted to you, and you will review that in consultation with your review engineer. Once you deem that scope to be acceptable, it's a draft scope, the regulations, just so you're aware, then requires public input on the scope. Regulations identify various means to gather that public input. We can discuss that at a subsequent meeting, but the process will be the applicant will submit a draft scope. The board will review that. Once it determines it's complete for purposes of the draft scope, it'll then be offered for public comment. Ultimately, this board's responsibility will be to issue a final scope, and then the applicant will use that final scope to prepare the draft environmental impact statement. So as soon as the draft scope can be submitted, the board can move forward.
Okay. Just to make a comment here, you will be able to prepare these documents before the next meeting?
Yes.
Adequate time for us to take a look at it before the meeting?
I will get it to you by Monday.
Okay. And we will put you on the agenda for our next meeting, which is, okay, the 18th? September 18th.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is the Beverly Special Use Permit. Hello, John, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. How about yourself?
Good. Okay, this, let's just give the board a quick presentation on what you're doing, and, for the record, and we'll move along here. Okay?
Looking to install a 30 by 20 solar array that would be behind the neighbor's house, property that I own, behind the home of Tom Myers. And we appeared before the zoning board a couple weeks ago, and they granted a variance for some setbacks. So now we're at the planning board stage, and
hoping to do public hearing, during our next meeting.
Does anybody have any questions on this? I don't believe it was discussed at our last meeting because you weren't here, so, which was mixed up somewhere along the line. But does anybody have any questions on that for the review? I think we're at a point where we should be scheduling the public hearing, which is required on special use permit. And normally, and I explained to you this before, we schedule a public hearing because of the notification process that gets involved, not for our next meeting, but the meeting after. There is only a 2-week period between this meeting and next. There was a 3-week period which occurs a couple times during the year. We might consider it, but I think at this point, we're going to have to schedule it for the first meeting in October. All right?
First Thursday in October?
Yes, I believe it's the 6th or 4th. Not the 4th. It would be the 2nd. It was all off. The 2nd of October.
Okay.
And it'll be properly noticed to residents within 300 feet. And it'll be posted on the town website and with the Troy Record. And sometimes that process gets us involved with the 10-day prior to the public hearing notification. So that's why we have to extend it to a second reading. Okay? So with that being said, I don't think there's, do you have any questions for us?
I do not.
Okay? Wayne, do you have any questions on this?
No, I mean,
Everyone on the board? I think we're good. And we will put you on the agenda for October 2nd.
Okay.
The public hearing will be at 7 o'clock. You'll be the first on the agenda. And then you'll be the first on the agenda for the meeting. We'll have the public hearing, and then we close the public hearing, open up our regular meeting, and you will be first on the agenda then.
All to take place on October 2nd.
All will take place on October 2nd. If there are comments made, depending on how many and so forth and so on, we may require you to submit a written response to each one of those comments. And then we evaluate the responses that you have to determine whether there's any additional action that has to be taken. All right?
Understood.
Okay?
All right,
I
thank
think
you.
we're all set. We'll see you on the 2nd. Okay, moving along. Number 3 on our agenda is Harrington, waiver of subdivision. I was not at the meeting, the last meeting, so I was told from the minutes. Brief. I think there was some corrections that had to the drawing.
yeah, I made a few adjustments.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
We did receive one on the 2nd of September. We'll do it then, so we can go over that real quick.
And I was here last month. My name is Jacob Keesby. I'm a land surveyor here in New York State, working with Ken Harrington on this project. The project is to alter the lot that Ken currently owns, adding 0.68 acres to his lot, and then creating a new lot of 2.78 acres around Jason's house and the shop down below. Both lots have more than 25 feet of road frontage on Harrington Lane, which is currently maintained by the town of Brunswick. That is the extent of the project. We're just creating a lot around Jason's house and adjusting the lot around Ken's house. We know disturbance of any kind or any kind of improvements to be made, simply just creating the lots.
I noticed that there's a mobile home in what they call Asphalt Drive. It looks like it's going to be on Ken Harrington's travel drive. Is that a problem?
I don't perceive it to be a problem. The mobile home has frontage on Harrington Lane. They would be able to move their driveway.
Okay.
That's for employees.
It's employees of the farm.
But it could be changed over to Harrington Lane.
It could be, yes.
Is that something that concerns us? Okay. No, okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Comments? Lee, do you have any comments on this?
Not,
Okay. We could do a secret determination on this.
Make a negative declaration, secret.
All right, do I have a second? Is there any further discussion on the secret determination? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now on the motion to approve the waiver, what conditions would we have to put on that? As far as the
They're both existing homes, new construction, existing driveways, right?
Yes, everything is existing.
I don't see any conditions, do you?
no,
You need the,
here's the file with the
Just a
Spencer
file
County.
with the county.
Well, a map ultimately will be filed with the county
Yeah.
to create the lots, but
and then a copy to the town.
generally not, because they're not merging. They're simply adding a little area to existing lot and creating a new lot, so there's no merger involved at all. There's simply new deeds to be created when the map is filed.
Okay. Okay, I'll
I don't see any
entertain
conditions.
somebody to make that motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're all set.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. You want to use that?
I'm gonna need to get stamps on
Yeah,
the project file.
why don't we give you the copy? Now, this is the one that we.
I dropped off new copies with the changes. So if you have the old copies, I'll gladly take them back.
Okay,
But the new copies, I would need to get stamped by the town.
okay.
So these are all the new copies.
Okay, perfect.
You want-
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
All right, that concludes our agenda. We do have some new business. This involves, let me see. This involves an application, well, this is basically just an initial site plan review, and so forth and so on. Through National Grid. This is for the Brunswick Energy Transfer Station on Spring Avenue. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Allison Phillips, the law firm Young Summer, local counsel to National Grid. We're here tonight just for the informational meeting and sketch plan for our proposed energy transfer station. That will be located at 1278 Spring Avenue. It's a piece of property that's actually adjacent and adjoining the existing National Grid electric and natural gas transmission corridor located between Spring Avenue and National. The energy transfer station is intended to provide a supplemental supply source for natural gas to supply the existing pipeline in extreme cold weather events when the pressure is threatens to drop and start outages. The project includes the construction of a paved area that will be available to locate the storage trailers that will hold the compressed natural gas. We're also proposing a new entryway to the facility that will be used for construction and operation, and that will be off of Spring Ave, within the existing National Grid transmission corridor. So the idea is that, the facility would be, ready to go when needed in the event of these cold weather events. Otherwise, it would remain unmanned. The trucks would come in the fall to be ready and available in cold weather events, but only go into operation when the temperature drops below a certain threshold for any, for a prolonged period. We're here just for our preliminary sketch plan, informational meeting. We intend to come in with a full application for special use permit and site plan. This is a public utility use, which is permitted in the R25 district by special use permit approved by the planning board. So we're getting together our full plan set, the application required by the town. We'll also be including a full EAF supplemented by some studies done by our professional consultants dealing with traffic and noise from the facility. So we hope to have that within the next few weeks for you folks to, be able to begin the full application process. But we're here tonight just to see if you have any questions or a sketch plan concept that we've submitted. I'll take back to the team.
Now, just to, these trailers that they're going to have here, they're gonna come in at different times, or are they all gonna come in at one time and stay in that facility until the season's over?
They'll come in at the beginning of the winter season, probably sometime in the fall. They'll come in generally at the same time, although we'll work with the supplier to see how, we can stagger those, entries into the site. But for the most part, they'll come in at one point in the beginning of the season, and they'll just remain on the site in case they need to be used. If a cold weather event happens and the facility has to go into operation, the trucks will offload, they leave the site, new trucks will come in with new supply during the offload. So there will be trucks coming in and out in the event the facility has to go into operation during those extreme cold weather events. And then at the end of the winter season, the trucks would be brought out, and, there would be nothing on site until they're brought back in again in preparation for the next season.
Okay.
Does the trailer only remain and the tractor is removed?
That's right.
And there's not a concrete slab that those trailers sit on?
It is a paved area.
Yeah, but paved concrete or paved asphalt?
There is a skid there that they'll be located on.
I'm sorry, say that again, for the lap.
A skid, a concrete skid where they actually have to hook up for the trailer.
And then the entrance onto Spring Avenue, is that, Spring Avenue is county?
It's a county.
So you'll be providing a driveway entrance detail that's a little bit more elaborate than?
Yes.
Okay.
When we come in with our full application, we're planning a 24-page plan set that will have existing conditions, proposed conditions, landscaping plan, lighting plan, full construction details, for those things that are moving forward.
Does, hold on.
All these trailers are big manifolds that go down to the pipeline.
Yes.
Is there another similar facility that's built? Or is this coming in?
There was a facility that was recently constructed in the town of Monroe. There's also, I think, at least one down in Long Island that National Grid has constructed in the past, in recent years.
Moreau in Saratoga County?
Yes.
Now, this isn't going to provide, it's not gonna provide additional gas service to new construction or anything like that. That's not what it's designed for.
It's really meant to supplement the existing
Okay.
gas supply so that, for homes and businesses that are already receiving the natural gas service, we want to ensure reliable service and these cold weather events where there's a potential for the pressure in the line to drop. This is a supplemental source that can be ready on hand to pump into the line to keep the pressure up and to keep those homes and businesses in service.
I mean, the only reason I'm questioning that is because obviously New York State is trying to go solar. The way I understand it, next year, starting next year, all new construction has to be all electric to include, heating, appliances, hot water, everything. So I'm trying to figure out whether, if you were planning on pumping gas into new construction, it may not be there. So,
No, it is really to supplement and be able to continue to provide reliable service to, businesses that are already receiving the natural gas supply, homes and businesses.
So this will be gas truck trailers, tractor trailers, whatever, and
Yes,
then you're just gonna dump off of them into the line.
yes, they'll pump the compressed natural gas.
but these aren't tanker trailers, are they?
Tractor trailers, and they'll
They
have,
are, I thought they were boxes with tanks inside it.
yes, so it'll look like a standard,
Looks like a standard box trailer.
yes,
Okay.
not a tanker,
And you're gonna have, according to your drawing, you're gonna have 26 of them.
yes.
I have a concern about fire, explosion. 26 trucks going up. They got most of the people here. Do you have any plan for that?
We understand that that'll be a primary focus for this board. The facility is designed with, the kind of the first line of defense or the fire protection features that are built into the facility design. Will all be automated and alarmed with automatic shut-offs that would go into effect if there's some problem with, any part of the equipment on the facility. The company is also in talks and has reached out to the local fire departments to try and gauge what their needs would be in the event of an emergency. Also, if they're comfortable with the proposed, plans that we have, which is, right now we are proposing a connection for water service to the existing line on Miller Ave. That's really intended to, we do have a small control building on the site. We're in talks right now, trying to get information from the fire department to determine if, the location of the closest hydrant, and the pressure at that point in the public line, meets any needs that they identify, that would be required for any kind of emergency response. So we expect those conversations to keep going and to be able to provide the board with more information on that.
What about security?
For security, the facility will be completely enclosed by National Grid standard fencing, which would have a barbed wire component at the top, and everything would be automated and, remotely monitored.
There's nobody gonna do that.
Not on a regular basis.
Nobody 24/7.
Right.
Where's the access? Spring Ave or the town road?
The access for construction and operations will be through that new driveway we're constructing from Spring Ave. That will be constructed within the existing utility corridor. The property is also accessible from Miller Ave. We don't propose to use that for any, facility, trucks. It could be used for, any, employees who are going there in passenger vehicles or light trucks just to do periodic, maintenance or inspections.
Was this parcel always part of National Grid, or is this being purchased?
The transmission corridor has always been owned by National Grid. We do have the existing electric transmission lines and natural gas pipeline in that area, and the adjoining piece where we're constructing the actual energy transfer station was acquired by National Grid, I believe, last year.
Why this location?
There was a lot of factors that go into siting the facility. You need to have it within a certain proximity to the existing line in a location that, is capable of having the equipment where you can, connect it to the line and have it not be, too far away. This pipeline was identified as one, projecting, years in the future that has the potential for these drops in pressure that is in need of a supplemental supply. So, the National Grid focused on, available locations that were either owned by National Grid or we had a willing property owner who could, they could acquire property from, and it had to meet the criteria of location to the line, ability to site the facility, compliance with local zoning codes, and this facility turned out to be optimally located, to check all those boxes.
What's the approximate radius of this critical area that you're talking about?
I can't say the radius, I know that this pipeline currently serves about 27,000 users, and that's homes, businesses, medical facilities, that whole region.
Okay.
How big is this lot? How many acres are we talking about?
I believe it's approximately 50. I can confirm that.
There's an on the map. It's not that.
And in our full plan submission, we will have a bulk table with the applicable bulk regulations and identifying the applicable setbacks. It's not located on the concept plan submitted for discussion. I apologize.
Is the area shaded, intended to be shaded? Is that entire area intended to be paved?
Yes.
Is it paved or is it porous that?
Seems like a lot. Paved over a water line?
That is identifying the asphalt pavement, including the new driveway we'll be constructing for transmission.
The rest of the year, there won't be anything there?
That's right, when we're not using the facility, we're not staging the trucks in preparation for these cold weather events. The facility will not be used except for that periodic visits by personnel for inspection.
Yeah, it's gonna be fenced.
It will be fenced, yes.
What type of stormwater conditions are there?
Definitely disturbing more than an acre, so they have to request what's going on behind.
Yeah.
Water pollution control,
Are they gonna have to have like detention areas or something?
We do have a proposed stormwater control mounting plans.
Okay, I didn't get through all of that.
Allison, in your driver here, state here that the short form for the EAF, I think it should be a long form.
That's an area. It will be a long term.
And could you provide some information in your subsequent application about the sound
Yes.
generated?
Yes, we do intend to submit a noise study we have conducted by a consultant we retained SLR engineering, so we'll provide that with the submission.
Allison,
Nothing going on on this property now, right?
Not on the portion where we're going to be constructing the actual energy transfer facility, but the adjacent property already has the existing pipeline and electric infrastructure.
Allison, when the facility's in operation, there is going to be personnel there around the clock, though, right?
Yes.
The orientation of this manifold between the trucks. The orientation of the pipeline that's underground, or is it
No teasing or whatever. You say it's not built on top of the pipeline, it's off to the side, it tees into it.
That's right, the pipeline goes up the existing transmission corridor, and then we'll be connecting that to a new line, that goes from the paved area, the skids, over to the pipeline.
And that'll all be underground.
Yes. There will be an above ground, I think, component. We will have engineers here at future meetings to discuss the more technical aspects of it, but there will be some above ground equipment that's typical with the natural gas underground pipeline.
All right.
It's gonna have some screening here, so it's not visible.
Yes, and we'll have a complete landscaping plan in our submission. The visual simulations that we provide to you are just supposed to give you an idea of, what the facility will look like from different vantage points, both leave on and leave off, once it's constructed. But we do have a landscaping plan, and we're looking forward to, the board giving us any feedback on that. National Grid did hold an informational session, that, sent invitations to, neighbors, where we had these visual scenes. We did hear from some folks, a desire for some additional landscaping in places, so, they're certainly open to that.
Would it be possible for us to visit the site?
Yes, I'm certainly,
We contact you.
yes.
Is this gonna need a public hearing, zoning changes, or?
Not a zoning change, but a special use permit does require a public hearing.
How did the public forum that you just had, how did that go?
It was well attended. We had a number of neighbors come, stayed for a while. We had members of the whole team, engineering, community relations, legal there to answer any questions that the neighbors had. We did get some feedback from them. We did hear that some neighbors weren't able to attend. We provided contact information for National Grid's community outreach team, where they could get in contact with any questions that they had. My understanding is that several of them have, so communication lines are open.
When was that?
That was last Wednesday. So.
Does this require an aggregate hearing?
Probably have to, but you haven't even put in a formal application at this point.
Not yet. No, what we provided to you was what we provided with the closed session conference. We plan on, putting together that full submission and submitting to the board as soon as possible.
What is the construction timeline on this?
The construction timeline, my understanding, I believe, is, target is to start construction in the spring of 2026 and have it completed by the end of the year. But I can get,
To be functional for the winter of 26, 27.
I believe that's the goal. I'll confirm that.
Okay. I think, one of the issues that I would like to see is how you're going to address this traffic on Spring Avenue with these tractor trailers. I think Mr. Henderson, he's concerned about, obviously, the safety. That's what his background was, so I'm sure he has some questions about that.
Of course. And we will have also a traffic study that we're going to submit.
Yeah. What route what's the preliminary route that they're going to travel?
My understanding is they're going to come over the Waterbury Bridge up Congress Street to fall into Spring. And that's the route that's analyzed in the traffic study. And there has been consultation with the city of Troy, while the plans were in development on that proposed route.
You're gonna drive these tractor trailers past Sacred Heart School.
They will go past that
The road's
intersection.
pretty narrow there.
Are they gonna come in loaded, or are you gonna load them when they get to the site?
They will come in loaded and they'll leave after they offload at the site. So they'll both be loaded and unloaded going on.
So there'll be a tractor going out without a trailer? Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Okay.
And when, after that trailer is offloaded, there'll be tractors that come in, take that trailer and take it out, but it will be.
Okay.
Why are you putting tanks of boxes?
My understanding is that's standard industry practice, and it's,
It's a little question.
I didn't say anything.
I just had one other question. What's the topography of this land? Like, is it raised, is it flat, is it, what are you doing?
my understanding is that it's fairly flat, that the land will have to be graded for the facility, as part of our stormwater plan. My understanding is that, the spot was a good spot for the facility in part because there didn't have to be, significant grading or, excavation, due to any kind of topography.
Right. So you have the means to contact this land, so we can rate the site for.
Yes, the cover letter
Okay.
also has placed your signature there.
Yes, and, happy to, work with the team to arrange anything that, wants to have a site visit either now or after, since I complete the signature.
Okay. Well, at this point, obviously, we're gonna have to wait for the application. When do you anticipate when the application would be?
Our goal is to submit next week. I mean, we're really hoping to, get everything together. We're gonna see if we got any kind of feedback tonight on the plans, but, we really have everything already in the works, trying to put it together to submit to you folks as soon as possible.
Okay. Would it be reasonable to put you on the agenda for our next meeting or
Yeah,
one meeting after that?
we would like to be put on the agenda for the next meeting. And I'm gonna work my hardest to get this submission into you guys as soon as possible, so you have a chance to review it, before that meeting.
Okay.
Another question, are you aware of the soil type of this site?
I know that was looked at, our engineering team in developing SWIP. My understanding is that, the soils are very good there, for, as far as putting together the stormwater plan and, stormwater practices that we're incorporating. But I can certainly have one of our engineers speak
I was
specifically.
curious if it was rock, if you could glass.
Now, my understanding is, there would be no blasting.
Okay. We put you on the agenda for our next meeting, which is on the 18th of September. And we look forward to getting that material hopefully ahead of time so we have a chance to ask some consulting on those questions.
Yes.
So, nobody has anything else? Do you have any other questions for us?
I don't, I thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that is all the new business that I have. There was some other applications that were received, but they have been, hold on there, I got that. Wendy, could you help me out on that? Okay, I do have it. There's one for a special use permit for Odell. O'Neill, excuse me, I got it. O'Neill,
That's his name, is that his name?
and they want to be on
The next meeting.
next meeting under new business. And then there was one for Knoll Engineering,
Nolan Engineering.
and they want to be under new business for our
That
next
is
meeting. Okay.
Are they already on the new business?
What's that?
Did you guys discuss those last
Nolan,
meeting?
were they already on the new business?
They were on for the first time they come in, but she was just there. Free new
They
business.
want to be on the agenda.
Oh, they want to be on the agenda for our next meeting, so,
They do.
okay.
Both of those applicants would like to.
Both want to be on.
because they already came in as new business.
I didn't get that in the memo. I didn't. Okay, so they're both gonna be on for the 18th, correct?
Correct.
Just trying to determine the agenda here.
The one is the convenience store at the corner of 278 and Route 2.
Right, where the old gas station was.
Still there, but yeah.
And then the other one was
White Church Road.
White Church Road. Okay.
Yeah. The solar.
Another solar collector. Okay, let's review the agenda then. CVE is going to come in. Okay, Beverly's on for the 2nd of October. Then we have O'Neill, special use permit. Nolan Engineering, which they have as Lucky's Market. It's a site plan. And I'm missing something on it.
National Grid.
National Grid.
Which one?
National Grid.
Ah. National Grid will be on our agenda for next meeting. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items on the regular agenda. Okay. Any questions on our agenda for our next meeting on the 18th?
Silas is not ready?
We haven't heard anything from Sillis. Paramount, we haven't heard anything from them either.
They said they were digging again. They said they were removing material again. I didn't go there.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're over. Thank you.
That could be a home for that full